Spoilers in this video. So, as the title implies, we're going to be talking about why Endeavor is very likely going to die in this arc, and probably very soon too. But also, Endeavor has had a lot of death signs, which has kind of been hiding in plain sight, I suppose. And it goes back to that little mini arc, I suppose, we had with, like the training that Endeavor was giving to the Big Three, and then that whole thing with him encountering that random ending villain. So, if we go back to chapter 249, just based on the very first page, we kind of see a premonition of Endeavor's death told by Endeavor himself. Because he says, like, lately I've been having the same dream. The wife and kids looking happy at the dinner table, but I'm never with them. So, that's kind of saying right there that, he's never with them because he's going to be dead. Now, also, you could, take into consideration what he says at the ending of this little mini arc, in chapter 252. He says that he's building a new house for the family because it makes sense for their commute and everything. And then Fuyumi's like, where are you going to go? He's like, I'm going to stay here in the original house. So, you could assume that he's talking about that, and that's where the premonition is going. But I think if you really line up these two things, it makes sense that the new house is going to be for the family, because we know that Rei, the wife and the mother of the family, is eventually going to get out of the place, the hospital that she's in, and eventually reunite with them, probably after this arc and everything. And I don't think it's going to be because, Endeavor is going to be staying at the house. It's going to be because he's going to be kicking the bucket. So there's also like two other things that happen within this stretch of 4 chapters that kind of strengthen this notion as well. And that's like at the end of chapter 249 when we see Endeavor pretty much for the first time going to this shrine that he has for Toya, the 4th child of the Todoroki family. And we'll get into Toya. Everybody knows who he is at this point. And if you don't, I'll, catch up on that. But he's like, acknowledging that Toya, is gone and that he's remorseful for it. He even says, like, I wish you could be here too. So that's setting that seed right there. That's the most we've ever gotten on Toya pretty much at this point. That's actually the first time we full-blown have seen his face within the series. Now, also, if we go to chapter 252, this is pretty much Endeavor's last moment with Natsuo. The son who pretty much has the most indignation for Endeavor, because of what happened with Toya, which we don't understand the full details yet, but I'll go into some speculation about what could have happened. So this is like his last moment with him, pretty much. This is him, because he is going to die, so he's never going to get another moment with Natsuo. He's never going to have a chance of what he says for atonement. Like, he doesn't really ask for forgiveness. He just says that he wants that instead. So he's kind of doing it by, repairing and fixing the family and the trouble and the damage that he has caused as much as he possibly can. Now, also, this is further redemption for Endeavor, which started back in the Pro Hero arc, and this just further cements that. So now we're going to fast forward to chapter 267, where we're in the war at this point, and we have the big confrontation between Dabi and Hawks. And Dabi reveals that he knows Hawks' true name, Keigo Takami. And it's also revealed after this little sequence that Hawks, as a child, was like drafted into this special hero program, which is implied to be super difficult and rough and everything. And then, I don't know, not every kid can handle it or whatever. So then after, going through this sequence, Hawks is like, wait, how do you know that? Who are you? Talking to Dabi. And then Dabi reveals his identity, but the dialogue is blacked out. And the implication here, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure the consensus as well, is that Dabi is straight out revealing that he is Toya Todoroki here, which also is kind of setting up, since we just saw it in the previous page, that Dabi very likely was drafted into this special hero child training program as well, because that makes sense considering that Endeavor, probably willingly put him into that system. And it also makes sense as to why, Dabi would know the true identity of Hawks. Now, also before this, we knew that Endeavor really trained Toya, like, really hard. So I'm not sure, like, if Toya was presumed to be dead from the training in the special program that Hawks went through, or maybe Dabi went through that and it really, was really hard on him and really twisted him mentally. And after that, maybe he had more training with Endeavor and then he died because he got pushed too far or something. But also, back in that whole, little redemption arc that we were just talking about with Natsuo and Endeavor. Endeavor says, it feels like I killed Toya myself. So, maybe he was presumed to die in this special hero training or something like that, or maybe it was after the fact, but it's not like Endeavor directly killed Dabi. At least from what it seems like, I don't know, Dabi is something with his quirk, obviously, presumed him to be dead, because it would explain why he has, the scars on his body, and also, coincidentally, the scars line up with the way that Endeavor's flame mask looked. And also, after this little reveal sequence, we get the true nature of Dabi, which maybe we were kind of on the fence about up until this point. He reveals that he's completely unredeemable. He's a full-blown villain. He is evil, and that he wants to change the world and make Stain's will a reality. He has no pretty much morality left about him, so that's further setting him up to be the executioner here for Endeavor, because yes, that's why Endeavor is going to die, because Dabi is of course going to be the one that kills him, because it's revenge for what Endeavor did to him, and he's pretty much the way that he is because of Endeavor. So if anyone's going to take Endeavor out, it's going to be Dabi. So let's get to why it's going to be happening soon, because as of chapter 283, Gigantomachia is on his way to the Ground Zero, the big battle where everyone is taking on Shigaraki here, and he has Dabi and the rest of the surviving League of Villains on his back. Now also, coincidentally, Shoto has shown up at the Ground Zero as well, just in time for everyone to converge at this point. And also, Endeavor is pretty much completely spent at this point, because he has been fighting pretty much the strongest villain that we've seen in the series, at least post-Kamino at this point. So once Gigantomachia inevitably arrives at the battle, he will turn everything in the favor of the villains. Once again, Dabi will get off of his back. And then, we'll have probably the big reveal eventually of where he, reveals to Endeavor as well as to Shoto that he is in fact Toya. And maybe we'll get some more backstory on that. And then it'll eventually get to the point of where he will definitely kill Endeavor and Shoto will witness it. This is important because it's going to give Shoto motivation going into, which I hope is going to be the second half of this series. It hasn't been confirmed if this is the end of My Hero or if it is going to go into a paradigm shift like Time Skip yet. But this is going to be motivation for him, hopefully, and it will also set up Dabi as, one of the huge, big, overarching villains, which he hasn't really been set up too much at this point to be that role. So yeah, that's how I see things happening. Let me know what you think is going to happen with this whole big storyline in the comments. If you like the video, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Twitch. Please check that out. I also have a Patreon. Check that out as well. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you next one.